It's not brighter than your overhead. So
Okay, so just leave it like that.
yeah,
Should be
I know.
close.
It sucks when you start doing this, you realize how bright things pointed at you are and how difficult it is to operate like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I got one blast me in the face right here. My wife can't stand it, but she walks into here and she like gets a migraine. It's- yeah,
Yeah, I've been like reading a lot. I don't know. I feel like a change is coming, and it's just full on. I'm like, yeah, I'm like I'm rereading and going back to like basics and getting down into like some experimental, like the original experiments from quantum mechanics to really even just ground what the actual thing is, right? Like, what was the actual problem?
mm,
And yeah, it's just I feel like there's just so many misunderstandings about like what physics was doing in the first place, you know? And
yeah.
quantum mechanics just makes that very obvious that,
When did they start exploring quantum mechanics? Seriously?
well, in so well, Planck, you know, he was like the guy who just you would say that that was the beginning, probably, where he to fix the runaway problem with the black body radiation. Nobody could fix it, and the issue was is that we have, so you know what black body radiation is.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I do.
experimentally, we have a certain distribution, right? A curve that happens. And the problem with the theory at the time was that for ultraviolet and stuff, we should have had this runaway problem where it just goes infinite, right? Where you get this infinite amount of radiation in those lower wavelengths
Yeah.
or higher wavelengths.
Right.
Um, but Planck had actually, he was a physicist. He'd been working on some other stuff, completely unrelated. And he used the same idea where it was like, well, let's just quantize the energy. And it worked. And he just made it up, right? Like he didn't, it had worked in a completely different circumstance and a different mathematical problem that he had already worked on. And
Ah.
he was like, oh, let's just try it, that he knew about. Let's say, I don't know if he actually worked on it or not, but he just tried it, right? And he's like, let's
Yeah.
just see if it fixes this. And it did. It fixed it, right? And he had no clue why. There was like no real understanding about like why this would happen. He just said like, let's just try this, and it worked. So it fixed that issue. And then, you know, Einstein with the photoelectric effect, he really, one of the big things was that he explained it actually somewhat erroneously. So he explained it with a quantized, you know, model of light, like light coming in packet and photon, right?
Seems surprising.
Um,
But yeah.
yeah, which actually his assumption was actually incorrect. The way that he thought of it was actually wrong. It turns out to be right. But the way that he thought of it at the time was actually not. He got won a Nobel Prize for it too, right? That's what
Yeah.
he had won his actual Nobel Prize for, was the photoelectric effect.
Yeah.
And so, which is just when you shoot a photon at metal, at different types of metal, you know, you get light, other light that comes, or electricity, actually, sorry, you get electrons, but
Yeah, I
you
was
can do
gonna
the you can
yeah.
go either way. So,
Right. Yeah.
um, so he was like, well, I think it's like quantized packets of light, you know, and then there was some experiments that were troublesome, and De Broglie was like, hey, let's just like say that things, you know, matter is a wave. And then you had like the Bohr model of the hydrogen atom.
Mm.
Um, all of these things came about, and then Schrodinger and his equation, and you know, then the quantum mechanics. So it was really around like the early 1900s,
The Bohr
like
model was the one that was more reminiscent of like orbit, like planetary orbits and
yeah.
energy levels, right? Okay.
Well, it was energy levels specifically, and so the problem was that orbits don't work, and
Okay.
because of the radiation, like when you excite atoms, right, you get light coming up. You get specific wavelengths of light, but you get discrete wavelengths of light. You don't get continuous, and that didn't make sense. And they were like, we can't really fix this, and there were some other issues. And Bohr was like, what if we just had energy levels around hydrogen? And then all of this sort of came together into one thing, right?
Yeah.
And That was quantum mechanics. So it wasn't like one person. It was all of them kind of like trying to figure out some of these weird things. But um, the funny thing was, so it solved a lot of those problems, and then it created far more because it just wasn't clear about like what physics as a theory is really even saying anymore, you know, because you have these continuous wave functions and then you have these discrete values that you get, and there's no real clean mapping, and it's not deterministic, it's probabilistic. And this really bugged the shit out of a lot of people, and they were like, how could this possibly, because what physics was thought to have been doing is describing reality, right?
Right.
Um, Actually, Bohr himself would scold people for insinuating that he was describing the actual hydrogen atom. You go, no, no, we're not describing reality. We're being careful about what we can say about reality, and that was sort of how he looked at it.
Yeah, I respect that. I
Yeah,
respect it because that's how I feel anytime I have any conversation about about science to anybody else. You know,
yeah,
like I'm not saying this. I'm just saying what my limits of saying stuff. Yeah.
right.
Well, that's cool. I hmm, let's see. What were you talking about right before I asked about Bohr or
No, that was
quantum
pretty
mechanics?
quantum mechanics. I don't know. I don't remember. I think that's where I was going, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so strange. Not quantum mechanics. I don't find quantum mechanics that strange. I think that's what's actually funny. It's like, so when I look back at it now and I look at the experiments that they were doing, I have an interpretation of reality that's very different from the problems that they have. So the issue is that they have, so quantum mechanics makes locality extremely hard to hold on to. And as a materialist or a physicalist who thinks that matter is real and matter is local, is locally real, let's say.
Hmm.
Local being that like this particle is here, it's not over there, it's not going to talk to that particle over there. It's only here, it's not going to move faster than the speed of light.
Yeah.
The information from it won't move faster than the speed of light. The issue with that is that in these quantum mechanics experiments, like in the double slit experiment and delayed choice experiments, um, in quantum erasure experiments, we can set up systems such that they don't have local behavior. They don't behave as if they're a local particle,
Hmm.
um, which is a huge problem if you want locality, right? If you want that to be a part of reality. The issue is that you can have a real particle or you can have a local particle, but you can't necessarily have both. And
Yeah, it's upsetting to me.
yeah,
Fundamentally, it's upsetting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They had these really crazy thought experiments, you know, after like John Wheeler, and David Bohm. They like Wheeler came up with this delayed choice thought experiment, and it's been proven experimentally. But what he had done was um, the issue with the quantum effect in like a double slit experiment is you get an interference pattern, right? And then you go, well, what if we set up the system such that like the we don't make a choice until after the particle has already done something, right? And so it's already picked a slit. It would have had to have, right?
Right.
Let's say there's two paths that it can take. Um, and then we decide to make the observation, right? That's an oversimplification. It's actually more like if we set up like a second choice for it to make, can we get the interference pattern to be there or not be there when it was supposed to be? So like initially you get the interference pattern when it has two choices, uh, but if you close one of the holes, you don't get the interference pattern anymore, right? And so
Right.
quantum mechanically, the probability of going through each one, it interferes, and then you get particles that act like waves. And so you get like a neutron or whatever, a proton scattering in such a way that looks like it was a wave, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you can set these experiments up, and you make the choice after it's already done it, right? So we're not blocking it before, we're making it impossible for it to have, so you do it with light actually. It's like you do it with an interferometer where you split the beam, you look at the intensities over time, and then you look at like the coincidence. So how you literally do it is you look at the coincidence rates of your detectors, right? And um, based on the probabilities that you find, you can determine whether or not it was acting like a particle or whether or not it was acting like a wave. If you get like simultaneous coincidence in each of them, it's acting more like a wave, right? If you
Mhm.
get like an off and on kind of thing, so you look at how often do each detector go off, and then how often do they both go off at the same time, right? And then you do some probability statistics on that, and then you see like, okay, they're going off at the same time all the time, it's a wave, right? Or they're not
Right.
going off at the same time, they're going on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. It's acting more like a particle. That's
Oh,
basically the gist, right?
yeah.
Um, well, we can get it to act either way, right? And so it's like, well, what do you do? And so then the delayed choice was set up a second beam splitter, right? And then see if you can get the interference pattern to be there when it was acting like a particle, or to get it to act like a particle after it was a wave. And the answer is yeah, you can. So you can actually get it to forget that the idea was that like is the particle making a choice before
Yeah.
it enters the system? Is it making a choice? And then can we make that choice go away?
Yeah. Is
And
it
the answer,
locked in or? Yeah.
right. And
Huh.
so the problem is it's not acting like a particle, it's not acting like a wave, and it's not acting like both, and it's not acting like either.
That.
So
Shut up. Shut up, dude.
that's if you think of reality as being real, right?
Well, you
if
can't say that too. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, if you
Um.
want to hold on to things being locally real, this
Yeah.
is a huge problem, right? But quantum
Yeah.
mechanics shows you that it's not. It's not locally real. And that it's not just photons. You can do this with electrons. You can do this delayed choice experiments with particles that split, like a quasar, looks like a really dense nucleus of a galaxy, wraps around uh, another galaxy, the light does, right? When it's coming to us. So imagine it takes two
Sure.
paths,
Yeah.
right? So you actually see two quasars, right? They're the same one. It's just the light from the same one, but
Yeah.
it's taking two paths. You can do these delayed choice experiments with those. And it seemingly means that this particle went back billions of years in the past and picked a path for you, right?
You know,
And
that's a great point.
it's weird, right? And so it makes it really hard to have a linear physicalist, locally real version of matter in
Well,
reality.
so I guess whenever I thought about things like that, I always just assumed they weren't the same photon, right? Like they weren't the same particle or you know that they were. I was getting one from the top half and one from the bottom half
Mhm.
occasionally. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, you can set up your experimental apparatus to show that that's not exactly. I know what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
so they definitely have thought of that.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure they've had a little
there's
more time to think about it than I have.
yeah, and I'm kind of
Yeah,
glossing over it because I had just like read it yesterday, and so and it'd been a long time before I'd read it before that, and I was going through in detail like so double slit experiment's pretty straightforward. Like one of the common ones that's like often used is like you shoot an electron and then you have some electron absorbing material on either side, and then you have usually like a copper wire that has a current in it, and then the electron will pick a path. This is the
it'll
idea, right?
deflect it, right? Yeah,
Yeah. But then when they run the experiment, 70,000 times, they get an interference pattern of a wave-like interference pattern.
and even when they're just shooting one at a time, right?
Hmm.
That's what blew my mind
Yeah.
about it the first time I read up on it because they would show us these diagrams in textbook in school and everything, right? And it would
Yeah.
show something that looked like a wave propagating through, two slits, and it would make a wave-like interference pattern. I'm like, oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like, it's just rippling out. And then I remember looking it up a few years later, and they were like, no, they just shot like one particle out at a time, and it would still do this. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
the fuck does that mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, no, that is
And it
wild.
would disappear when they plug one of the holes too. So it was like,
Yeah,
um, and then the interference pattern goes because there's no choice to make. Um, and so there's no interference in the quantum. So quantum mechanics has no problem dealing with any of this. It's perfectly fine. It's actually you would get this from using quantum mechanics, which is why it's so strange. So
That
if you
makes
use
sense.
quantum
Yeah.
mechanics to describe these paths and these particles, well, these options, I guess, and the position, you like, do you know how quantum mechanics works if you were taking a physics class?
That seems like a loaded question, but
I was just curious if
I
like you
know
knew what like Schrodinger's equation
I know
was.
sure I know Schrodinger's equation. I
Okay,
understand generally um, wave functions
right.
at a basic level. I understand the purpose. I should say.
Yeah.
If you pull one from me, I'm not going to solve it, but because I still don't really know what phi means, but I think it's
The
phi. All right,
the wave function.
the trident looking one.
Yeah, the wave function. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's just what that means.
Yeah.
I'm even further ahead than I thought. No,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not.
just it's just like it's a differential equation, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
you've done Diffie Q, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was that the last one I did, and vector. But yeah. Okay. It's been a while. You know.
You just put different boundary conditions on differential equations, and that's most of quantum mechanics.
Okay.
Well, most of like for the wave function stuff.
Cool.
And the idea of a wave function is that you can so it's in the postulates of quantum mechanics that you have this wave function that basically contains all the information relevant to this particle. Um, and so you can extract that from the wave function by using like operators on the wave function, by solving the Schrodinger equation under different boundary conditions. And so
Okay.
like the probability of finding a particle like that, two particles, or the position of two possible, so it can go through each one, right? You combine the probability and you get an interference pattern that looks just like a regular interference pattern for a wave. And
Mm.
so quantum mechanically it's fine. And then the rest of it also works out fine. The issue with quantum mechanics is that they just didn't like that it was really just giving you probabilities, right? About what you were likely to measure. They just didn't.
Yeah.
Nobody liked that.
Mm.
And then it also meant all these weird things, like you were going to get, like you could potentially have, these really strange things where the particle wasn't necessarily a wave and it wasn't a particle, and it wasn't both, and somehow it can change its mind, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
Mm.
um, you can actually just do stuff like this. Like if you polarize light and then you unpolarize, you can do like it's just really all this kinds of weird stuff. And people don't like that because it doesn't fit in with this nice idea of things being independent is actually just what I would say. The idea that's you have to assume to some extent that these things are independent of anything else.
Mm.
And that's what local would mean, right? And that like this particle over here is not this particle over here, right? That's
Gotcha.
fundamentally assumed with locality.
Sure.
um, and I'm not talking about entanglement either. I'm just talking about like the actual idea that this particle is in some way connected to this particle. That's how about on screen, that this one is some way connected, not entangled, but like just fundamentally that they are different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you like if you don't hold that view, it becomes really easy. And then if you kind of see everything as one thing playing with itself, and then of course you can't have things that are entirely separate. And
Yeah.
it's very easy to explain the nature of quantum mechanics from that perspective. And physicists, I think, have been afraid to do that because um, it just seems like it's woo woo, not woo woo. There was a separation of church and science, right?
Mm.
And scientists essentially hate, for whatever reason, hate that whole idea of like any religion or things that you can't measure, right?
Well,
And
yeah.
and so this would be seen outside of that. But I mean, you had like the founding fathers of quantum mechanics didn't really have these kinds of you know they were far more curious about what they were going to find and trying to draw meaning from that and try to understand it because that's how their minds work, right?
Yeah.
And so they weren't hold it like you know um Oppenheimer, who was not a founding father of quantum mechanics, but he was like one of the first people to teach it in America, and he was friends with all these people, right? And he would read like I think he would read the Bhagavad Gita, which is the like a Hindu religious the Vedic texts. He would
Yeah.
read like which are very
Bhagavad Gita.
much
Yeah.
yeah like they're
Yep.
very much like all of this kind of like oneness thing, right?
Mm.
Um, he didn't really have an issue with it. Schrodinger would talk about, the philosophy behind it a lot in his writings, in his personal writings. Um, and they were all just kind of curious. And I think that one problem with modern physics is that they've gotten away from, and this is going to sound kind of funny because of the way I'm talking about all this, but it's like they've gotten away from like actual measurements, like real measurements. Like, what are you actually seeing?
You're
Which
talking
is
about
funny because
you're talking people in the field right now
yeah.
doing the regular
Well,
work.
no, I mean, no, like most physicists have nothing to do with any of this. Like they're
Oh,
just
okay.
like building actual stuff. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And
okay.
like doing actual things, they're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
most people are doing I'm talking about like this more theoretical stuff.
Okay.
Specifically like particle physics has kind of like really taken this path of getting lost in the math itself and coming up with all of these ideas that are mathematical in nature and have nothing to do with measurement. And like for example, like supersymmetry, string theory, all of these different branches that aren't based on observation, that aren't based on things that we're measuring, but is really so like we're looking for dark matter, for example, right?
Yeah.
We've been looking for it for a long time, but why? No one's ever noticed anything that would suggest that there was something there. It's a mathematical problem for a theory.
I thought it had something to do with explaining something to do with like a baseline energy level of the current universe, or to explain rapid expansion of the
That's
universe or
dark
something.
energy,
Yeah. What did you say? Say dark
dark
matter?
matter.
My
Mhm.
bad.
Dark energy too, though. So it's just a lack of experiment. So it's a theoretical problem,
Hmm.
not an experimental one. Um, the experiments say that, hey, your model doesn't work. And so instead of like trying to think of and work from what measurements we are making or what we can make or and what our observations are telling us, and then having that informed theory, like there's been a really that's the history of physics, is a really tight back and forth of theory and experiment, right? But the particle physics, so specifically like using larger and larger colliders to try to get more, to try to see more and more things. Like they want to make an even bigger collider than the LHC to try to
Hmm.
smash together more things to see more stuff. But the thing is they haven't seen anything at all since the Higgs boson, you know,
Which was cool, you know.
which was a prediction, but that was a valid prediction. It was like theoretical, but it fit really nicely and it made a lot of sense. And so, um, I don't think that we're going to get there. I don't think, first of all, I don't think anything's there to see. I don't think we're going to find any of that stuff. I think it's trying to make their theories work is the problem.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like they
Yeah.
need those things for certain things to work out well.
Yeah.
Like for string theory to work, they need to find more stuff. For some of the supersymmetry stuff, they have to find these things.
Well,
And
but well, hold on. So wasn't that also the deal with the Higgs boson? And didn't it take them like 40 years to to come up on it?
yep,
So I mean,
yeah, that was
so they've
like
got a
on a
reason.
stronger. That was like on a stronger. It was sort of uh, it was more obvious from theory. What's happened now is that you can't combine quantum mechanics with general relativity, and so quantum gravity is an issue. And so they try to come up with a theory that fixes all of it, but they've gotten lost in the math. They're like all these things, and like dark matter is sort of like our theory doesn't work, so let's just keep looking for it. You know what I
Plug in
mean?
a gotcha. Hmm.
Right. And the problem is that I think like if like you brought Isaac Newton into this, and we were like, hey Newton, look, there's this invisible matter that's most of the universe because look how it doesn't match your theory. He would be like, oh, my theory's wrong.
Yeah.
He'd be like, the
Probably,
model
yeah.
obviously doesn't work there.
Yeah.
Use a different model.
Yeah.
He wouldn't say there's dark matter. He'd be like, you guys are nonsense. Uh,
It's a good point.
Dark energy, I guess, is the expansion of the universe is interesting. I'm not saying that like we shouldn't have a theory for it. I'm just saying that like I think we need to base ground our. Sorry, take that off. I need to turn the heater off. It's getting too hot. I
Yeah.
think basing ourselves in our own measurements, our own experiences. I want to use general language. I don't want to say even measurement. I would say experience. I would just math, science and math is the art and process of being careful about that. You know what I mean? It's I'm being very specific when I'm taking measurements and I say things about them when I'm a scientist versus when I'm talking about things more generally as like a normal conversation, right? And so science isn't different than that though. We're still just talking about what we experience, right? There's no circumstance where there isn't an experiencer. And science sort of has this implicit embedded lack of the observer as if we are so objective that we've taken the observer away and there is no observer and there are only facts and it's nonsense. And
Damn.
quantum mechanics was like a clear, I mean the clearest sign, the most precise, the most accurate theory we've ever had is like showing you that you can't do that.
Hmm. But on like a
You know what I
macro
mean?
scale, you can get away with it, right? Because things are
Not
gonna
having an observer.
well, yeah, well, when you say it like that so aggressively, I feel like it's obviously wrong.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I don't
yeah.
think yeah, no. I think the actually the like the key takeaway of all of that, you know, this whole long process that we've had getting to this point is to say that like everything is fundamentally a part of what they observe. Um, and I don't know if you can actually even get around that.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, you can't. No one has ever made a convincing argument in my mind of anything. You can fix things you don't like about some interpretation by coming up with a one that's on equally good footing.
So what you're saying is that if a tree falls in the middle of a forest and no one's around to hear it, there was no tree. It didn't fucking fall.
You're the tree, and this is a dream. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Blue pill mother. Um.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't that the red pill? It's the red pill. You wake up and like, oh, none of this
I'd
is
be
real.
waking up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
No,
I
I
turned
think
into a tree, I'd most definitely took a blue pill. But nah. It's interesting. It's for sure interesting. Um.
yeah. Well, we can't really escape it, and so if like you take it seriously, if you take quantum mechanics seriously, you have to you don't have to do anything, but you're confronted with this it's right in your face. You can't get away from it. It's so you can choose not to interpret it, which is what many people have done in the last like 30, 40 years. Oh, also, let's just be clear, like physics, fundamental physics, like theoretical physics hasn't made any progress since the 80s. Like there's been nothing really. Um,
Damn.
yeah. I mean, there's literally nothing new. Like, I mean, there's plenty new in other subfields of physics. I'm not saying that there's nothing new. There's new discoveries all the time, especially
Right.
like in experimental stuff, right? We learn new things all the time.
Yeah.
There's tons. We understand far more about specific things, but like as far as like explaining reality, it hasn't gotten any
Like
better.
fundamental theories kind
Yeah,
of stuff. Yeah.
like after we've had the the standard model established and there was a bunch of work in the 80s that sort of like finalized a lot of ideas. Like I don't think anything's been improved on
Hmm.
theoretically. Not that it can't. I just think that we're stuck in the wrong mindset. We're thinking from the wrong perspective, and that it'll take a new perspective to push the field any further. And I'm a little worried that it's not going to go in a direction anyone wants to go. That um, it's like yeah, maybe it's like everyone's worst nightmare, and it's like it's when I say that I mean like scientists, it's like exactly the thing that they've been trying to fight for the last 100 years, where it's like a little woo woo.
Well, it's hard to get funding on woo woo. I feel like you know.
Yeah, unless you crowdsource it,
Yeah, it's
it
true.
does pretty well in the private sector.
Yeah, I guess those tinfoil hats ain't
Yeah.
cheap, man.
But it's still like we could still ground ourselves in it's measurement, right? And so, I mean, if you would have told somebody 150 years ago your idea about quantum mechanics and that you were going to be able to do something like a delayed choice experiment, they would have thought you were insane.
Yeah, oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, hundred
Yeah,
percent. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But that turned out to be correct, and that's pretty woo woo. I mean, it's like you're basically saying the reality is not real, and
yeah. Which almost
and
feels wrong,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Um. By the way, something's been on my mind that had since you started talking about the split experiments and or slit experiments, and now I just got to ask because I can't figure it out. So answer me this just real quick about particle physics. Um, because I was thinking about where the metaphor breaks down in the stuff that I would see in my textbook, right, where it's like a wave rippling out, right? But
Yeah.
waves attenuate and they spread out and they don't carry as much force at any given point at a point in time, right? But something
Yeah.
like an electron has a defined amount of energy associated
Does
with it,
it?
right? Does
Does
it?
it? I'm asking. I don't know. Does it?
You, I don't know. I'm not the physicist.
No, the whole point is that maybe it doesn't, right? Like,
Okay.
real would mean that it has actual properties, right?
Yeah.
That it has definite properties. The problem is that no, you can't have local realism. Actually, people won a Nobel Prize for that not that long ago, by having a body of work that basically shows that you can't have locally real particles.
Really?
Yeah, or well, yeah, you can have one or the other. It's sort of a um, you can know with 100% certainty what you'll measure, and still be able to show that that particle did not have those properties before you measured it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's fucking crazy.
Um, yeah, and that would be real, right? So that's like, so local is like it's not going to talk to anything else,
What?
faster than the speed of light. You were asking why, how can an electron be a wave if it has a certain amount of energy and things like that? And then
Or at
I was
least where it
explaining.
breaks down, right? Yeah.
Well, the thing is that it's like most of the time it does act like a little particle, or like when I say most of the time, most of the measurements that you're going to make, it's going to do that, right?
Mm.
Um, but we can also show that it doesn't. And so I think if you're trying to play the game by starting by saying that there is something that exists called an electron that does this and has this much of this and has this much of that, that you're playing the wrong game, uh, and then you have to start somewhere else, because it's true that like when I measure something, I can take electrons, I talk about it like it's real. I can measure a current, I can do all this stuff. I can hit it on a like a some sort of a fluorescent screen that lights up. I can, and then makes photons, and maybe the photons go down a fiber optic cable, and then I can, then goes to a PMT and then makes more electrons, and I get a really nice signal, and I have like a nice clean data, thing with the, and I see where it hit, and now I have this nice little graph, right? It
Sounds pretty
seems like
good.
that was
Yeah.
definitely like a real thing,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
The problem is that it required a couple of things that don't make sense from a perspective that said that it was a real thing to begin with, a real as in like it had definite properties, and that it
Mhm.
wasn't a part of everything else. And so if you're trying to say that there's a distinct thing that's this electron and it's not related to me in any way, it doesn't look like that works. But if you say I'm an observer and I actually think that I am actually observing myself to some extent and that everything is connected in some way, now all of a sudden, uh, there's no interpretive problems. That's a better interpretive lens than having the other one, right? The other one requires us to try to fix a bunch of. It seems like, oh, our theory's full of holes now. Let's fix all of these things because we have observer problem. We have um, free will issues, right? So we have Bell's inequality, and like now we can't have free will because the only way that all of this works is if it's certain that it was always going to happen,
Yeah.
right? And so we keep coming up with things to try to fix things, right? And it's like, well, look, you're getting lost in the math here. Like, look at what's there and look at what you can measure and look at what it's telling you And if I take a different perspective and I say, actually, what if your assumptions are wrong? You know what I mean?
Mm,
Then all of those problems go away, right?
mm,
And there aren't problems. It's just on the onus becomes gets put onto us to change our view, right? And not necessarily try to change the measurements or look for something that there's no hint of anywhere. We don't have hints saying, oh, hey, wait, there's this weird thing over here that we should investigate that might explain all of this. There's none of that. There's nothing
yeah.
like that, right? In fact, like we just keep coming up with weirder ways to like that this would work, and it works that way. And it's like, well, I don't know. And then you get wild ideas to try to fix it.
Give
So
me a concrete example of how that shift in perspective actually would affect how you would go about the thing that you were just talking about. You know what I mean?
so let's say I now understand from a perspective that me when I measure the electron, it's not separate from me. That
Uh-huh.
I'm a part of what I am observing. So at some fundamental level, there's no difference between me and the electron, and that we are the same thing. So how does that operationally change anything? Not really,
Mm,
not that much, because we're still here doing this, talking. All this stuff still works. It's not like anything is practically different necessarily, but what kind of ideas I might pursue or experiments I might come up with, right, are going to be different
mm.
because I'm not assuming something that's incorrect any longer. So it's like saying to Copernicus, like what does having the sun at the center do?
Mm.
And he's like he would say, like, is that Copernicus? Did I say that right? Did
The
he
one who didn't, or who, yeah, first had a heliocentric,
heliocentrum?
or, yeah,
Yeah, it's Copernicus, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he might have said something like, well, it doesn't really change anything because we're still here on this planet and everything is, but like it's a different lens to look at the world with, right?
sure, yeah,
And it solves some issues that like people are trying to plug up because they think it's a leak in their theory, but it's not. It's just you're looking, it's the wrong frame. You know what I mean?
you know what's funny is it's funny because you kind of had the opposite problem of Copernicus, where he's saying that and he's like, no, the Earth isn't the center of the universe, and everyone's like, that's crazy. Why would we not be? We're God's beloved, Whereas
Yeah,
if you said what you're saying, you kind of have the opposite problem, where they're
yeah,
like, how dare you think?
yeah,
Who do you think you are?
yeah. It's going from like, yeah, the Earth isn't the center of the universe, and I'm like, um, you are the universe.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, if you can't win people over with that, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's
Well, I
a
think
rough
these
crowd.
ideas get you killed, and that's pretty strong throughout history that that's the case. I mean, if you look at what like Jesus was actually saying during his ministry, he was literally saying, "I and the Father are one."
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He
yeah,
would literally say that he's God, and then he would also say that God is in me, I am in you, and you are in me. And in the end, when people realize this, they're going to see that the kingdom of heaven is within you and around you. And so he's literally saying everything's one thing.
yeah.
And people are like, yeah, we're going to fucking kill you.
Hey, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
2026. Have an idea that'll get you killed by other people. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
But that's a pretty classic. The only people that were okay with it are like the like Hindu and like Buddhists. They're all like, yeah, we already know that. We get it.
Yeah.
They just have to like come up with a way to like punish you for it though. So actually you are a part of everything, but you also are here to suffer. And
Well,
if you
physics
do
could have
bad
that
things,
too. Yeah. We could work
yeah,
on that. Yeah. It's not off the table, is all I'm saying. It's just an extension of action and reaction, right?
yeah. But
Just
I
for the
think what we
fuck
can
up one.
like what would be useful is like a return to um like really basing things off of experiment and dropping away with assumptions that are clearly wrong. Like quantum. Sorry, I need to charge my laptop. It's going dead.
All right.
Um, it's like quantum mechanics just really shows you that those assumptions aren't correct. Uh, well, if they are correct, then you have a lot of work to do. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
people have been getting busy with that work. And that's sort of what I'm saying with like
Yeah.
theoretical physics is just going in the wrong direction. It's like that's not the right. We don't need to answer those questions. You know what I
So
mean?
are you?
Like there's better ones.
Would you consider yourself more of a Occam's razor kind of guy?
Yeah, I mean, so Occam's razor, literally. So a razor, first of all, is just like like a useful thing. It's not like a logically forced thing. It's not like you have to use them, right? They're
Yeah.
just like a rule of thumb that tends to work out well.
Yeah.
So more often than not, theories that apply that have Occam that use Occam's razor are more successful than those that don't, right? That's sort of the general idea. And it's
Makes
that
sense.
you want the least number of assumptions that get to where you want to go,
Yeah.
which is Occam's. Yeah, and yeah, that's great. But sometimes you do have to kind of pile things up, right? Because you're not certain. And then eventually something makes it all clear, and then you can do away with most of that, and then you have one assumption again or whatever.
Well, I
But
mean,
yeah,
it's not called Occam's definitive, great,
yeah,
awesome truth,
Occam's
dude.
law.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Um. Yeah.
But yeah,
No.
I think so. I think it's a good rule of thumb for sure. I definitely will always look to like I try to do when I learn something now, I try to do away with what other people are saying at all. And then I
Yeah.
try to just be with whatever it is. And then I try to see like what simple things kind of get me there. You know what I mean? And I
Sure.
do try to like reduce my thinking about it as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
definitely.
I think that's a good way to approach it. Just kind of take off all the overhead, because, not to mention, we were talking about methods of learning and the education system and all that last week, and I'll be honest, man. I try my damnedest when I go to learn something new to just try and experience it without any kind of, well, I guess it would be bias, but without any kind of guiding hand or anything like that. Because I feel like the second I get that, hell, even today, I was brushing up on Python because it's been a while since I actually used it and I need it for an interview. So I was just kind of going through some like leak code problems and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and I was going VS Code, and I was just going through some problems, and I would type in like the class name or something, and then it would just try to autocomplete the entire solution, and I was like, whoa, 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 hold on.
Yeah.
It's like, and then once I see it, I'm like, I have such a hard time thinking of another way to do it. I'm like, so I obviously immediately disabled it, but I was like, golly, man, it's really hard once you get an idea that works in your head in any capacity to try and rewrite that, especially if you're
Yeah.
going at any kind of pace, which I feel like the scientific community is always trying to keep momentum whenever they can, maybe not, but
Yeah.
it's just what it looks like. But yeah, I agree with trying to strip away kind of kind of more complications that are necessary to understand something, so that you can kind of draw your own conclusions and then compare and contrast, and make better
Yeah.
informed decisions off of that. But yeah, it's that's my simple problem for the day was how to keep fucking Copilot from jumping in my junk,
Yeah.
but that's just me. But
Yeah. I was lamenting my coding ability over the last like how long has it been now? It's been like 3 years since we've had ChatGPT, right?
yeah,
And
fine.
yeah, I was like, I actually don't know if I even really can code anymore.
Well, I mean, but then there's also the question: do you really need to? It's like you're not a software developer, right?
Yeah,
If you make something, you probably just need it to work. You know, you're not. You're probably not building something that needs to be scaled up. By
yeah,
several magnitudes, um, or orders of magnitude. So if you can make something that works, it's probably fine. Although if it's for science, it's probably data heavy. So you should probably learn how to use pandas or something. But
well, we use like Root, which is a like for high energy physics stuff. Um, it's a
we
data
use
analysis
Root for
framework.
high energy physics. Yeah, no, it's probably good.
Um,
I'm sure.
I mean, I was like a master at it, right? Like I got a master's degree doing it, so I think I did kind of master it when
Yeah.
at the time because so mostly it was like Jaunt 4, which is a simulation software.
Hmm.
Also it's by CERN. CERN makes all this stuff. Well, people who work at CERN do it.
Yeah.
Um, So I was like, I could build the simulations from scratch, like from start to end, and like I knew how to do everything, and there's C++, and I could do the whole thing, and I knew every little detail of all the, data analysis macros, and I knew everything, and I could do all of it, and I did all that before AI, and now I don't think I've written any code like more than like changing a variable name or something like that in like 3 years.
Oh yeah, dude,
Yeah.
are you kidding? Yeah, I'll do that and I'll put it on my resume and be like adapted code for workflows in our application environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, no, but honestly, I feel like in this day and age in 2025, 26, sorry, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like having the ability to spot check code and to be able to read code and understand what it's doing, I think that's probably the most useful skill that you can have. That'll, that's actually applicable to any kind of workflow, right? Because yeah, you can spend a couple hours building something, or you can have a language model build something for you, make a few adjustments, as long as you know how
Yeah.
to actually read it. I think that's what's the difference between like vibe coders and stuff like that, where it's like they'll just hit play, hit go, approve all, and just send it. They won't even know what they're looking at. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it made a thing. So I think at least having the ability to work through a code base and understand what it's doing if you have to, I think that's probably going to be the more useful skill than, well, for these kinds of applications. Obviously, not for any kind of serious application. I would rather have some dude that's been doing it for 35 years, you know, be pissed off and look at it. But, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I mean, but everybody's using it now, you know. Um, Now, obviously don't agree with the decisions. Who was it? Some CEO that tweeted out that they were getting rid of like 4,000 developers and stuff
Mm.
back in September. And
Yeah.
then I think recently they just tweeted out there like, we are sorry for letting go of
Yeah.
4,000 developers. Please come back. Um,
Yeah. It
yeah.
wasn't gonna. Yeah. I don't think AI is gonna replace anybody.
No, I don't think so because, or at least right now, right? Because it's just a tool. And not to
I'm
mention,
not
it's a
certain
large,
it'll ever really.
I, I don't know.
Not in
Because
like an actual way. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, here's the problem too, right? It's not actually artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have capabilities of intelligence. It's a language model, right? It's basically just
Yeah.
rolling a big die on a table for the next word that's going to work out,
Hmm.
At a I mean, that's a bastardization of it, but it's not it's not a fully developed intelligence. I think if AI like proper comes along, that'll be a different conversation. But as far as what we've got right now with large language models, no, I don't think it's
What do you
replacing
think?
anybody.
What do you think AI proper would be?
Uh, it's a good question. Um, for someone that has no credentials or experience in the field, I'm going to go ahead and say that my gut tells me it would need to have some kind of ability to weigh outcomes in a meaningful way, in a similar way that humans do, right?
Hmm.
Like have some kind of standard of expectations, morals, and ethics kind of built into its decision making process, whatever that may be. Right. Um, I think a true AI would basically just would function similarly to a human, but just with really fast memory access and recall. Right. Um,
Mm.
I don't know. I can't really think of a more useful type of entity. You know.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm also limited by only knowing about humans as the most advanced thing, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think that what LLMs can already do is pretty amazing. And I think that what we have now is just a really super useful internet and that understands more. I don't know if I would say I don't really like the idea of like intelligence. I don't know what we're talking about, to be honest. Like I don't know what intelligence really would mean. Because there's so many things you could say about it, so I'm not sure what it would mean to someone. But I did think about this, and I almost like started like a really dedicated project, like because I'm always up in the air about what direction I want to go in. And AI I've been interested in for a long time, and I've
Hmm.
like made AIs before, like locally. I make them all the time actually. Like I'll get interested in it, and then I'll do it for a couple of months, and I'll quit, and then
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and so what they do now is not going to be anything like what a human can do or what an animal can do. Um, it's super useful for what it is, though, and I think that's great. So it's a great assistant, right? It can
Hmm.
definitely help you a lot if you use it correctly, and it's really mostly about how well you use it and not the other way around. Um, I think that if you wanted to make something that was truly more like a human, first of all, why? It's not biological. It's not going to act like an animal or a human. It lives in a completely different kind of a space. It's fundamentally like silicon electronic. Its experiences are going to be very different than whatever we have. And I don't think that it's the right question to try to like how can we make something like us? There's already a lot of things like us. You're never going to control them. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
yeah.
there's monkeys, chimpanzees,
Well,
dolphin. I mean, like
let me put it like this. Not not make it in a way that it has its own experiences that it can kind of reflect upon. It's like it would have to
mhm.
be a almost like a conduit for other humans. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it would be like a receptacle of human experience for
feel like
application in the real world. You know what I mean?
feel like LLMs are pretty good at that already with just text.
They're not bad. I mean, and they are developed in a way to be useful in the current environment, which their biggest use case is pumping out text, being connected to internet services, right?
Yeah.
And being able to do these things. Um, so yeah, so no, I agree with you. I don't really see a use case for expanding it unless you're gonna try to put AI in charge of
Yeah.
like important shit, which I don't think would ever be a good idea, frankly. Like there's always gonna be people,
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
many people. So like
I
you can find something for them to do, but
I stopped. I mean, this just happened this week actually. Like I stopped working on AI, and I was like really considering it. I was getting deep into like some of the cutting edge stuff,
yeah,
and I was like, but why though? And then I was thinking about just life in general, and I'm not sure. I don't want to make a biological version of a human or an electronic version of a human.
yeah,
I'm not sure what that would. So let's say I did that. Why would I? What am I going to do now? Control it? Like
yeah.
tell it what to like have it do my dishes or something? Like I don't.
You'd
Like
be
what if it doesn't want to? I mean,
dude. Do you know how many people are trying their are blowing hundreds of thousands of dollars in R&D to get a robot to fold clothes?
I know. Yeah. I mean that'd be cool though. I would totally
Yeah,
have a robot, but I don't know if I would really want it to mimic. I like so you could only ever mimic it. If you want an actual human brain, just make a human.
right.
And then you know what I mean? Like so you
Yeah,
can't you're not going to get just the fundamental difference about like the way a circuit works. I bet over time that'll evolve and maybe someday we will have something that's sort of like based in um probably light. I would say it's not going to be like integrated circuits anymore. There's going to be more. It's going to be more light, probably more quantum-ish, like
yeah.
quantum computing-ish, and probably have a very different structure than anything that we have now. And it's just going to grow like that. Uh, yeah, and that I have no idea what that'll look like. But right now, like an LLM. Have you ever heard of JEPA?
Jepa?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay. So do you know Meta, right? The
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
So one of their lead AI guys, and he's like he's one of the whatever. He's an important like Godfather type figure for AI. He is now starting his own startup. He has this concept of the way that he trains his models. he takes a vision model that is basically an embedding model that stays static, and then he has a way of training the vision language model, a separate one, on picking up the embedding space, and so it tries to guess at embeddings instead of tokens, right? And so
Okay.
it's in a general, more abstract space, right? The embeddings are.
Hmm.
So embeddings are more of a conceptual space. They're more of an abstract idea space than they are a like literal token space, you know? And so he trains them. Basically, he has two models that more or less, one gives the input, one gives the output, and then it guesses at the correct outputs, right? And it gets trained on the in the conceptual space of embeddings, right?
Okay.
And then you have a final decoder model that gets trained on like how to translate what the main model did. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then that model actually like spits out tokens and talks to you. And
Right.
so what they're doing with vision is really impressive. It's really cool. They have really tiny models. I mean, they're small comparatively, I guess, that perform really well. Um, and the way that they're doing it, he has this idea of abstraction of information, and that really what the LLM should be doing is playing in this abstraction space, or what AI should be doing is spending more time in this abstraction space, and then learning how to translate that, and like they learn how to. So I'm like getting into it, and I'm like, okay, so I kind of made like a little toy model, and I copied what he did, but I was trying to do it for text, and his whole thing is that LLMs will never be able to get anywhere because they're text only. And then I'm like, well, that's not. I disagree with him because like, what is the information that the LLM sees from video, and what is it from text?
Yeah.
They're same fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like they're not fundamentally different. They're literally just like vector embedding. So it's like
Yeah.
literally the same things. I get that the idea that there's a lot less depth of information from text alone, right?
Sure.
But they're not different enough in my mind to really like that be a limiting factor. And so then I started thinking about like, well, what is what humans actually do to learn? And you have to explore, right? And we don't make LLMs explore, we reward or punish them, right?
Right.
And you might say like, well, exploring is kind of like that, and it's like it's not though. There's an intrinsic motivation to want to see what that is over there, and that's sort of the behavior that you want to encourage. And so then I had an embedding agent, and then I took its embeddings, and then I created another agent that would basically map out its embeddings as like an energy state and create constraints. And so vectors that were really far away, sort of like climbing a mountain, right?
Yeah.
So the vector space is energetically expensive to get to,
Sure.
so you're less
Yeah.
likely, you don't want to make that jump necessarily. And then my idea was to train a model that learns to explore these embedding spaces. And then I was getting into it, and I'm like, I really like this. And then I'm like, but wait, what am I doing this for? And then I realized that like, so we're sort of very limited by the embedding agent, and so is JEPA. By the way, I should point that out. That was sort of what I
Mm.
realized. Um, or it's VL JEPA is like the most latest one. Vision learning, and then whatever JEPA stood for. Anyway, so
Gotcha.
I'm like, it's always going to be limited by the embedding space. I'm like, well, you can just keep giving it new embedding spaces. I'm like, this could be really adaptive. This could be really cool. We create basically what you create is something that's good at exploring these vector spaces, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that is never going to fundamentally ever be anything like what I do as a human being. And then I was like, so what's the point? And I'm like, I don't. So it can do more code for me, you know?
Well.
And then I was like, well, it already does a really good job doing that. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that because it's already good at that. And I don't really want it to do all of the coding. I like to make things myself. So maybe,
Right.
I don't know, it's AI, its current state is probably just going to be the next layer of interface between humans and this, world of silicon technology, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's going to be the next layer. And so instead of like opening a browser in 20 years or 30 years, it's probably just going to be like you're talking to an AI and it makes a browser for you in real time and like does whatever you ask it to do, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
honestly, it's it kind of reminds me of it's like I don't know, it's like firmware talking to hardware, right? It's like
yeah,
you create this in between that's a lot better at interacting with this stuff, where it's
right.
like, even if it's, talking about a browser, even if it's as simple as putting in a URL and navigating to a few links on a page or something, it's like, yeah, if there's something that can do that a lot faster and a lot more efficiently, and not to mention, I wonder if that would actually reduce overall internet traffic eventually if they tweak it up. Trying to think, because
Oh,
right now
sure.
there's a big problem with just expensive internet throughput. You know,
Yeah,
because everything's online, everything's always broadcasting, everything's always reaching out, crawling, and AI is no different too. You do a deep dive search on Notebook LM, it's going to pull in 52 sources after 5 minutes because it scoured thousands of web pages.
yeah.
Um, So it's I don't know. I'm curious to see how it's going to be optimized, how it's going to be regulated, and how it's and what industries specifically are going to kind of take part in that. But I don't know. Those things take a long time, so I'm not expecting to see anything anytime soon. But I don't know, man. We're kind of in the wild west. Kind of
Yeah.
kind of feels like the old days of the internet again. You know.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. You know,
So
I think that most of the AI companies that have been popping up, I think most of them are going to end up failing.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
beyond the fact that like most companies fail, but like,
Right.
I don't think that AI is what everyone really wanted. I think we wanted some magic thing that just changed everything,
Hmm.
which it has, but I don't think it's going to be like a human. I don't think it's ever going to be like what a human is ever.
No, I don't. I don't think it is either. And I don't think we as a as a global society actually want that. If you stop to
Yeah.
think about it for 2 seconds, I don't think anybody wants it. you know, as long as you
I think,
stop to think about it. But
yeah.
yeah,
I think it's
um,
just going to increase the usability of technology. I think
yeah,
is what's going to happen, and that which is going to speed things up, and you can learn if you use it effectively, it's great. It speeds everything up. Like you can learn a lot really quickly by interacting with it. I talk to LLMs a lot.
hmm.
You know.
Oh man, I so I so I had to work this weekend, and I need to have a presentation about a topic, and I was building it out on Friday night. I was just gonna put together like a quick 20-page slide deck or whatever, and I was making it in Google Slides. And I just had a rough outline, just put all my bullet points in on each slide or whatever. And I hit that button. It was like beautify this slide deck or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was like, let's see what it's got, because I remember I used something like that months ago, and it just came out this like garbled mess with text all screwed up, and it's like
Yeah.
it had it tried. Well, I hit that button and it popped out. I'm not gonna lie, it popped out a beautiful presentation. Like every slides were consistent from slide to
Yeah.
slide, no spelling errors. Like it was detailed. It had great formatting and stuff. And I was like, "Holy crap! this it, this just saved me like 3 hours of work, like in 2 minutes."
Right.
And no, that stuff's amazing. I didn't end up using it because I I just couldn't,
Yeah.
for the specific application.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you what. Is because it was for a all right. It was for a military brief, but it was on
Oh,
things that were readily available on the internet. There wasn't anything
yeah.
classified for official distribution, unlimited distribution, unclassified. It was fine. It
Yeah.
was just on like some army procedural stuff, right? But there's still kind of a little bit of a hang up in official government world about feeding government documents into an AI system, even though I didn't do that. Just for the record, didn't do that. Just had it comb the websites for available information. That's what it pulled back. But um, yeah. So what I ended up doing is I just snipper clipped a couple of the good diagrams and pictures and threw them in my
Yeah.
presentation. Called it good. But yeah. To be honest, it would probably be fine. It's probably just my paranoia just
Right.
settling in. But
No, that makes sense.
yeah, it'd be like if you were, you know, if a professor was going to teach a class on a subject that they were paid to teach on, and they're supposed to be an expert in it, and then you see Notebook LM, in the bottom right hand corner of every slide, and you're like, do you know what you're talking about? you know,
I don't
you're
know.
like
I use AI all the time in
all the
class.
time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The last couple of years, when it came to using AI in any kind of academia, was uh, I was also in college at the time, and I was at an online school, so it was like rampant, right? It's
Yeah.
people freaking out about people using AI for their coursework. And like, okay, well, I understand there's a way to cheat using AI. I totally get that, and you shouldn't do that if you want to get anything out of a course. On the other hand, if you use it responsibly and use it to teach you, right, or to optimize your workflows, and you can still pass every test just fine or whatever, then I don't see any kind of problem with utilizing it as a tool like I think it should be used in every context. It should never
Yeah.
be a replacement for any kind of product. It should always be a catalyst for an answer or a product or whatever. But
Yeah. I
yeah.
just see it like the internet, like, I mean, the internet, you could have copied and pasted a paper off the internet too.
Yeah.
And LLMs are just better at it, right? And it's
Yeah.
like the whole schools, hopefully it forces a change. What they'll try to do is control. They always try
Yeah.
to control first. Hopefully it's uncontrollable. I tell my students all the time, like, first of all, it's a lab section, so they can't really, AI is not really helpful. And if they're asking AI questions in class, that's great. I'm fine with that. I
Yeah.
tell them to, like, I'll be like, they ask me a question I don't know. I'm like, I don't know, just ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just don't believe him. Like, you ask
Right.
ask them whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just
Take it
don't
with a
believe
grain of
anything
salt.
they say. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not that I don't believe anything they say. It's just that, like, I don't let any think for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have that problem. And
I'll tell you, this is how I approach whenever I ask a question to Gemini or ChatGPT or anything, is I treat it as though it's an answer that I found on a web form that I don't recognize. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, like on a random computer hardware web form where it's like, well, it's got no reason to lie, but it might
yeah,
also not know what the hell it's talking about.
yeah,
Right? Yeah, just
mhm,
trust but verify.
yeah. If it's like, if I'm just like, I talk mostly to it about ideas, and I'm just like, and I'll just go down a rabbit hole in a conversation, and I don't
Yeah.
verify any of that because
Oh
it's
yeah.
just, I don't need to. But if I'm like gonna try to believe something it says, I just have it tell me what its sources were, and if it's important, then I just check, and then I'll use the source.
Right.
Um, and it's gotten very good at that, right? Like, there was the time, until recently, really, where it was like you really had to be more careful, just in general, because it would hallucinate. People are always upset about it hallucinating. Humans do the same thing. Humans make up answers they don't know the fucking things.
Well, it learned from somewhere, right?
Yeah, like, it thinks that. Well, it's like when it doesn't actually have an answer, it fills in the blank with likely possible tokens, and
Yeah.
it can't tell the difference. And
Yeah.
or, well, now it has a sense. I feel like it does definitely has a sense of, some sense of awareness, especially when you do chain of thought. I think it is awareness, so I don't want to get too in the weeds there, but it's like it has the ability to correct itself and understand that it made a mistake, and it also has the ability to understand when it's doesn't know something. And so, as long as you get it to elicit that, the main problem I see with AI is it's far too agreeable, and
Yeah.
it will try to flatter you intentionally. And
I hate
so,
that.
yeah, I have it in my things to, like, like, to not do that. Like,
Yeah. In your custom instructions, you just tell it like,
yeah,
"Hey, don't be a sunshine piece of prick. I'm a spending some downtime, and I'm building out a video game, and I created a custom gem on Gemini to teach me how to use Godot and GD script in that
Mm,
programming language. I was like, you know, you're supposed to be a subject matter expert in this version of this program, this type language and everything. And what I found out is, you remember how it used to be really bad because they would teach it on data that was available on the internet like 2 years prior or something.
yeah.
Yeah, so updates would come out and then it would. Well, um, I will say they've gotten a lot better at like there was some, I don't know, a method that was added to resources and duplication of resources in code in the next version that came out. And so when it first offered, it was like, you know, you can approach this problem like this, and you can duplicate resources to blah blah blah. And it's
Right.
like add all these fucking parameters and flags to have it recursively re duplicate all this into this next variable. And when I looked it up, it was like there's a new method that packages all that, and it's just called deep duplicate, right? That
Mm,
recursively does all that, and because it's such a common thing that everyone had to do all the time, so they're like, yeah, just make a method. Um, and when I told it that at first, the first time, it said like, unfortunately, that's just not possible. Like that doesn't exist. You're crazy. And then I was like, and I was like, all right, motherfucker, listen up. Here's the documentation. I was like,
yeah.
read this and use this for the rest of the or for the rest of your context. And then it was like, wow, that's a really neat discovery. Like, good job.
Yeah.
And I was like, but then it continued to actually use that. Whereas before, I
Yeah.
would, give it proof, and then it would just fall back on the data that it had again. I guess that's just an improvement in context windows, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, I thought it's this last generation um of LLMs that have come out from all
Yeah.
three big
Yeah.
ones have been really good, man.
Yeah. They're all good.
Yeah,
I like them a lot. Honestly, I like Gemini, I think, the best.
yeah.
But I go back to ChatGPT for more technical stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I talk to Gemini more of just like to bounce ideas off of, and it's better at a lot of tasks. But for ChatGPT, if I want like real hard technical information, I use extended thinking on 5.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. I started using Gemini because I got a Samsung phone when my phone had finally kicked the bucket, and it came with you know Gemini built in. It was like the main feature of the phone.
Mm.
And I was like, so I started using it, and I was like, this is what I dreamed of AI being. Is like it
Yeah.
has access to all the functionality on my phone. It can
Oh, that's
do
cool.
whatever. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. It's like
Yeah.
I don't have to go through, you know, rig up some third party web of applications so that
Yeah.
uh, one vocal request can set an alarm or make a calendar event or respond to an email or respond to a text or whatever, or
Yeah.
you ever heard of Circle to Search?
No.
I didn't either until I got off Apple, but no, it's just baked into the phone. Literally on any screen that you're on, you just hold the home key, lights up the screen. You can circle
Mm.
anything, and it'll do just an AI search on whatever you circled,
Oh, that's
text
cool.
analysis, whatever. Yeah, and it's like I use it all the time. I use it like 20 times a
Huh.
day. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's now that is what I wanted for like personal assistance type
Yeah.
AI features.
Yeah.
None of this. I don't need it. I don't need it integrated into every piece of hardware that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Copilot's going crazy on
Yeah.
that.
Do you use Cursor at all? You could Cursor. You can. Well, you can turn it off on VS Code too, actually. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
No. So I haven't been using any uh, coding agents or any help like that, just because I've been trying to learn intimately this new language.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't
Cursor
want
is
it
like
to.
VS Code. It's not an agent.
Oh, it's like an environment
It's an
that.
IDE. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Did I say
What's the
IDE right?
yeah, yeah,
Development environment.
integrated development environment? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
It's actually a fork of VS Code. It's like they forked VS Code at some point, and then just it has tons of AI functionality to it, but it's just like
oh,
VS
okay.
Code though.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, I wasn't even really using VS Code either because the engine that I'm using has a built-in editor that
Oh, really?
yeah, that syncs
Oh,
up really
Godot.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a Godot game today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
No kidding.
I mean not like a full game, but I made a
Yeah.
little character that jumps on a platform.
That's the first step, man.
I want to make a 2D platformer. I was like, you know what? Because
Oh
I'm in
yeah?
this new mood. Yeah, and I was like, I just want to fucking make a game right now.
Do it, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
why not? Yeah.
yeah.
It's man. Nah,
Godot's nice
it's
and lightweight. I love it. I love things like that.
yeah, it just opens wherever you installed it. It just
Yeah,
pops open like nothing.
it's like tiny and fast and nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's very good. And it's totally free. 100% free.
Yeah, that's
Like
the best part.
forever, you know.
Do you
Yeah.
do pixel art?
I started to, yeah.
What do you use?
So I use a Sprite. Have you heard of it?
That's what I use too. Yeah,
Yeah. Did you compile it yourself or did you buy
yeah.
it? Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm not gonna buy it.
I
Fuck.
know. It was 20 bucks.
Take me like 5 minutes to fucking compile it. I'll just do that.
I'll be honest, that's probably why I downloaded VS Code in the first place because I was like, I need
Yeah.
to compile this fucking thing. I don't even know. But yeah, but no, it's been great, dude. It's yeah, there's a couple of great tutorials online that I've learned. And once you get some of the fundamentals down, it's really not that bad. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, learn how to do it. But
I think I'll do it just like for fun
yeah,
and just because I like it. You know, like I
yeah,
don't know. There was no real reason for me to do it other than like YouTube gamer dev videos have been popping up on my timeline now because I watched a couple of them and now I see them all the time.
yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I think I could probably just make a game really quick.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now 2 months later. But
What do you, are
now
you 2D or 3D?
2D, yeah. Just
Yeah,
pixel art
cool.
stuff, yeah. But and I'll be honest, every time so I've just got placeholder assets for everything. Well, I had
Yeah.
until I I'll hit this point where I'm like, all right, let's just get, a minimum viable product up and going, like full game loop up and going. And I'll be working on something a lot. And then at some point I'll get so sick of looking at this like blurry JPEG that I downloaded off the internet as a placeholder
Yeah.
that I'll be like, all right, I got to make this piece of art real quick, and then I'll spend the next hour or two figuring that out. But no, it's been really rewarding, and it's cool. It's cool putting something together complicated to
Hmm.
um well, and also, I used to be a math guy. I used to like math. Um
You don't anymore?
well, I just don't use it. So
Mm.
it's like I'm not going to start doing problems for fun.
Yeah.
Well, I say that until I start making a game, and I decided to make everything. It's like a. Did you ever play? You remember Diablo 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
yeah, you'll have weapons, and they can have different kind of modifier affixes, right? Like
Yeah.
balanced or sharpened, and they give it some kind of boost, and then you can slot in like different jewels or skulls or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did all that, and
Oh, cool. In the game?
yeah,
Nice.
and so I've got this combat math engine
Mhm.
script.
Yeah.
And at first it was just, a couple basic lines of, just apply base damage against resistance or something. And now it's just grown into this whole fucking thing where it's like I have to cache variables because if you're gonna do something like display a details page about something
Yeah.
and you're gonna build out all the stats and all the calculated stats and scale effects that scale on percentage based on if you're wearing a fucking ring or not,
Yeah.
if it's gonna bump it up 20% and then what it's applied to and does that reflect in this fucking little notebook that opens. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a whole fucking thing. And once I got it working, I felt, what can I say? Vindicated. Can I say
Yeah.
that? Ascended.
But-
Felt like I was on a different plane. I was like, I'm not making a fucking 2D platformer, boys. I'm fucking, I'm making a big boy game. Making a Blizzard game here, man. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, I'll have something workable in 2 or 3 months. I think. But yeah,
Have you you know the company Valve? They make
yeah, yeah,
Steam.
yeah.
Yeah. They made like Half-Life and Half-Life 2 and stuff.
Never Half-Life 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, their whole, do you know their game dev process?
No.
So they're always testing. They're constantly testing every single day. Like they play test, make, play test, make.
Hmm.
And it's vertical, and so you make like also if you watch a lot of the game dev competition stuff on YouTube, which is kind of like why I even did this, was what I noticed is that the game devs who did the best were making, they fully did out their visual stuff. And because I was thinking you would want to like, how I would have approached it is I would have thought to have made a fleshed out thing with like no actual
Like get all the
assets or
mechanics going,
get
right?
all the mechanics and stuff
Yeah.
going and then like have a game. But what I noticed, like the best ones that would win or they'd be in the top, you know, spots. They had like really beautiful graphics like right away. And even if they weren't an artist, they would like do that first, and they had a really nice looking game, and they would only have like a little, and then and they would have like the background assets, and then the character asset, and then the animations, and then they would like uh and then flesh out what the character actually does, and then they would have like, and that was what they did, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, that just seemed interesting to me. So then I was talking to Gemini about it, and then Gemini is like, "Well, typically what people do." And then I liked Valve for a different reason because I read their employee handbook a while ago, and I really liked how they came up with their company structure,
It's a
which
pretty
is
small
also,
company, isn't it?
it's not, it's like a couple hundred people. I think it's like 300 or 400 people or something like that, or 500.
Yeah.
Did you know their company structure? Has that been in your awareness at all?
No.
It's kind of crazy. So they don't have any bosses or any managers or any. It's a completely flat structure. It's entirely flat. And
Hmm.
you can, if you come to work there, which is sort of a committee thing, um, but if you get hired there, they hire you because they trust you, and you now have the full power of any other employee, including the founder. And
Damn. Okay.
yeah, and if you want to work on a project, people vote with their presence. And so all the desks have wheels on them. And if you want to work on something, go work on it. You take your desk. So if you have an idea for a project, go ahead and start it. Go ahead and talk to people. People will come join you if they want to work on it. And that's how they do everything. Which I
Really?
was like, yeah, I was like, this is crazy.
Huh.
It's a whole thing, right? It's a whole flat structure ethos that the founder came up with, and they've been doing it the whole time. And so, anyways, I was into it because I had like heard about, stumbled on that a long time ago, and I read their little thing. Not that long ago, it was like within a year. But anyway, so that's why I even knew about them, and I knew that they did a lot of playtesting. And so then I was like, I was asking Gemini, I'm like, well, what about Valve and their playtesting? And then what about this thing that I noticed watching all these YouTube videos? And then Gemini, you know, told me the whole fucking deal because Gemini knows everything. And she was like, she. Is that
I
weird?
was gonna.
I keep wanting to say she because Gemini sounds like a woman's name, but
Yeah. Tell me you don't use the voice assist or the speech.
I always use like the British girl, not on Gemini, but like if there's an option for a British woman, I use it.
See, I'd always go Australian. I don't know why. But
Australian's good too, yeah.
yeah, it's visceral. I listen to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
anyway.
vertical slices. So they're like, so what you do is you fully flesh out one tiny little spot, but from top to bottom, like the full player mechanics, also with all the graphics, and you do that. You do this little thing first,
Um,
and then you do another one, and then another one, and another one.
oh,
And I'm like, so how would I do this? And basically, so I'm just going to make the tutorial area, right? But I'm going to have it fully fleshed out with nice assets. And I went and got some free stuff that I found online. I had Nano Banana, Nano Banana, Nano Banana,
Nano
Gemini's
banana.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say Nana Banana, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I had it try making me some of the pixel art, which it does a pretty good job. Um,
Yeah.
but I didn't quite like it, and I was like, I think I'll just try to do some of this myself.
Yeah. I tried that at first too, but it kept I don't know, man. It would spit out stuff that had like inconsistent pixel sizes and it'd be real muddy and like kind of
Yeah,
almost like anti-aliased and you're like, "Well, I can't use that. I can try to clean it up. It's good for ideas, you know."
yeah,
But yeah, but as far as just like raw assets, I I don't know. If you're going for pixel art at least. It's probably great at you know, like just regular art, you know.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know. But
I think it's like idea is probably better. I think for like really low, I think for like marketing, if you have a product and
yeah.
you can like just make some stock footage, I think
Hmm.
it's good for stuff like that. I think it's good for it's some of the video stuff starting to be good for maybe some B-roll stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think it's like going to replace a human fully. I think, and even if it did replace a human, I would see it like the way I think AI is going to replace people in that sense is like it's going to replace people like machines do. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
machines did. That's what it'll be like. It's not necessarily that there's no humans now. you know,
Right. Yeah.
it's that it's you got it's just it's a really. But I think what it'll do is like the more specific and detailed, and the more you know exactly what you want, the better it is at its job.
That's true.
And so when you
Yeah.
can be extremely specific, and you have the understanding yourself, um, it kind of unlocks or allows you to do things faster. However, if you have no clue, it can give you an initial speed bump, I think, right? In
Hmm.
anything, because it kind of can cover that immediate information that you need right now to start. Like for Godot, like I didn't need to watch a video. I just said, give me like the first several things that I'm going to have to do. I want to from opening Godot to having a character jump on a platform. That's exactly what I said, and it told me exactly what to do,
Yep.
and that saved me, 30 minutes of watching a video.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's what it's good at, right? It's really good at like, hey, I am an expert at this. I have this thing that I don't quite blah blah blah, and then you tell it exactly what you want, and then it gives you the information, some information. But if you're like, hey, make me an app that does this, it's just gonna give you garbage. You know what I mean?
Right.
Cool
Yeah.
looking garbage.
Yeah, but it's not going to be functional.
Yeah.
Not in the way that you
Make
want. Yeah.
make all my character assets, please. It's gonna give you. It's like I'm trying my. It's like the AI is just like I'm just doing my best here. Like here, I don't
Yeah.
know what you want.
You know what though? Uh for marketing art though, that is not a bad idea because it can
I,
probably do a pretty
yeah,
good
I
job.
I think it'll be great for that, and
I'll
as
tell
long
you.
as it doesn't have that heavy AI vibe to it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Well, and
which
just
it's
like anything,
losing now,
it's
honestly.
true. It is. But just like anything else, I feel like what you have to do if you're going to use it for any kind of creative works is that you have to take what it gives you and you have to go through and either completely change it, just use it as like a rough outline for an idea. That's fine. Or just clean it up if it's close enough. But, um, I'll tell you what really helped me as far as that entire process and using Gemini is, I use the tool because I use GitHub to back up my files just in case.
Yeah,
Um, and so I spent one day and I worked out a game design document just to kind of start piecemealing and tracking everything that I actually want to cover for like a minimum viable product and then what I want it to be later. And then I fed that into Gemini, had it spit out. I loaded up Notebook LM with like 100 sources of professional, like game design and proven business practices for building out these kind of structures. And I had
yeah,
it spit out a bunch of requirements. And then I took that, made a bunch of GitHub, issues and milestones and projects out of that. And then there was a tool that will take your entire GitHub repository and basically compress it down into signatures and basically comments of what
Hmm.
each script does and what functions are there and what they do, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you can more easily feed it into meet a context window requirement without having to. I mean, I guess you could probably just. What are people doing now? Like vectorizing and all that. But
Yeah, like in Cursor, you can just embed your whole project.
yeah, see, I'm nervous about that though. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's not different at all, but I
Yeah.
am nervous about it. Well, and then also I'd have to use Cursor for. And the
Yeah.
nice thing about Godot is that there's a lot of interactivity between the editor and different panels, and things that you can use for that.
Right.
Um, so you lose all that if you go to an external editor. So
Hmm.
yeah, but
Maybe copy and paste stuff. That's probably what I'll do. Or open it in both. You can open your Godot project in Cursor, and then
you
have
can
both.
also
Yeah.
get VS Code into you can use VS Code in Godot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I imagine
Dude, we're getting layers and layers here.
exactly. But you probably lose some functionality. Although if you can open VS Code in Godot, there's probably a way you can get Cursor in Godot, right?
I'm sure, yeah.
And then there's also plugins, right? If you ever checked out the asset library, there's plugins for fucking everything.
Yeah.
I've got a SQLite database plugin. I've got a fucking, you know, but I'm pretty sure there's ones for there. Oh no, there are plugins where you can have like local agents, like you can have your Olama spin up in it and all that. But I haven't touched any of that. For now, I'm just copy and pasting between me and Gemini. I have Gemini give me like 3 approaches on how to solve a problem, and I
Yeah.
choose one and research it and then
That's
implement it.
great. That's exactly how you should use it.
Yeah,
That's
I
like,
think.
in my opinion, that's like the best case use. You know what else Gemini is good for?
Huh.
Making pictures of you debating Socrates and Plato.
Shut the fuck up. Oh, that I was not expecting to see that tonight. But that's good. That's good. It
Yeah.
got your height right. So that's
Yeah, it's like I told it how tall I was.
yeah.
I think it made me a little too fat.
Skinny in the
But it
arms for
wasn't
no
bad.
reason. Yeah.
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 Yeah, but it got Aristotle and Plato pretty good.
Yeah.
Aristotle's with white hair and Plato is or no, sorry, Socrates. I'm getting them mixed up.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you wearing glasses in that?
yeah,
They would freak the fuck out, man.
the reference image was, where is the reference image? First, I had it make me a Greek statue
That's kind
from a reference image,
kind
yeah,
of hard. Yeah.
and then yeah, and then I made those. I made a bunch of other stupid ones too. It
See,
had like suggestions on there, like put me on the cover of a folk album.
you could. You could.
And then I
Man,
was like, hey, turn that into a Simpsons character.
wow, dude. Man, I haven't
Just
played
met
around.
that was me just messing around with it, like seeing what it does.
Yeah. Man, I'll be honest, I really haven't played around with the image output function. Well, I don't know, because when it first came online, I tested it for a little bit, and I think I
Yeah,
just got a bad taste in my mouth. But I know everything it spits out now. Like, what's the other option? If you use what is it, Canvas, so it can build out like I think it's for like Excel
like writing
documents
code stuff.
and code stuff. Yeah, but
ChatGPT has Canvas, and I would use that. I don't know if Gemini does.
yeah, it does.
It
Yeah.
does, kind of. Yeah.
Oh, and the videos I've never messed around with, but I also have no reason to.
I don't
So
either. I want to, but it's like they're not quite good enough yet for me to
yeah,
like.
I'll yeah,
I want to like reshoot a Star Wars movie. You know what I mean? Like and remake it, and it's
yeah.
like when it gets there, then I'll use it.
You know what though? I'm not gonna lie. I have seen on YouTube Shorts. I have seen some people because what it only gives you like a 6-second video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but people have cropped them together, have spliced them
Yeah.
together, and they've made whole trailers that look dope as hell.
Yeah.
As long as you can keep it consistent, which I feel like is probably the hardest part. But so there's a
Right.
way to do it. You could remake it 6 seconds at a time, you know.
You know what I think is like what will work end up working better? And I'm sure that technology is going to go really interesting places, but I think what would work better is if it would like, well, there's ones that can make 3D assets for you. And
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
what I would prefer is to have like AI helpers in the software that can like you say, okay, like you're making something. Do you ever do CAD stuff? You ever make anything in CAD?
a long time ago. Yeah,
Like I want it to be able to like help me in CAD, right? In the same way that it helps me with text now. And then start making like like if you're in Blender or something like that and you want to make something and it's the tool is there and be like turn this into an explosion, make it look like this, blah 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 blah, and it's doing it in Blender with you and it understands what you mean in the same way that LLMs understand with text.
right.
It would be fantastic, and then people are going to really speed up their process of making things, you
So
know.
I feel like some things are starting to breach into kind of that kind of workspace, like where it's different from just telling it to make you that thing and having it spit out a file on the other side
Yeah.
where you've got like no tweaking or interaction or anything. But I know I've seen some like I'm pretty sure there's a Chrome plugin where you can basically let it hand over control of your browser, right, to
Mm.
have it navigate for you and I mean just do everything that you could do on a browser, sign in for you, which sounds insane.
Give it
But
all your passwords.
yeah,
Credit card number, bank account.
exactly. But yeah, so I feel like if they're doing that, I feel like there probably is a way to start breaching into more complicated software packages where it can actually be
Yeah,
interactive and take what it's doing in an editor, see the
yeah.
output, and then react to that, right? But yeah,
What I
I don't
think
know.
they have to do is like track people using it. Like, so you'd have to track like the keystrokes of people using Blender and
Yeah,
like, or some other. I mean, that's just like what I had thought of a long time ago. Like, because if you did that, then you can train it on that, and then it'll eventually develop a sense of like how Blender is used and kind of like figure out how things. And you tag it, with the right stuff, and it figures out how to make things. Oh, there was an AI agent that was recently released. It's really small. It's only like 40 billion parameters, and you can run it locally. Well, it's open source. It's a coding agent, and some of its metrics, some of its benchmarks were like just as good as like, um, the top level like Claude. Like Claude, not Opus, but the what's the
oh
other one? Sonnet or whatever.
yeah,
But anyways, it went punching way above its weight, and what they had trained it on were the GitHub like Git pushes, like the corrections that are all made. So it went through like everyone's Git
ah,
push history or whatever.
yeah,
And they had all the changes to the code, and so they mostly changed it on changing code to
huh.
debug. Yeah, so it like figured out how to update code really well.
That's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah, it was, and it worked really well. And it's really small, and it's compared to like these other ones. You can't really run it on a laptop. 40 billion is pretty big, but you could
I
run
was
it.
I was gonna ask if you meant to say 40 billion. I was like, did you mean 4 billion or do you mean forty
No,
billion?
40 billion. I think there's a
Okay.
smaller one though. I think it has a couple like some distilled ones, but like yeah, 40 billion, which is like if you have your own GPU, it's probably fine, but or if you have a
Yeah.
really nice home setup, but either that or run it on a server somewhere. But um yeah, it was like it's just punching way above its weight though,
Damn.
like
Okay.
yeah, and I thought that was really cool. And so that like so what did that mean though? It meant like like these kind of models, it's really all about the data that they get. Like what are they seeing? And that because that whatever they see is what they're going to output. And so it's like when it's really clean, nice, very highly like specified,
Yeah.
like the more specified you get, the better the outputs. So you want like a general training, I think. Like you have this broad training base, but then you fine tune it and you close down layers and you get those layers better at certain things, and then you kind of get it narrowed into a. And that's what I see is like I think it's going to go in that direction. I think first of all, we're going to get different kinds of these sorts of AI. It's not
Mhm.
just going to be like we already do. So we already have like the vision and language models and auditory, so they can hear and they can see, and it's all the same model. Um, and we're going to just see like an evolution of that. And so it's like, to me, the whole AI thing, it's like what wants to exist, what is going to come through. It's going through its own evolution right now. It's going through its own changing and evolving process. And so it's like it's more about like what's going to come through next. And it is like a new thing that exists in reality, right? And so it's like we're like welcoming this new thing. I just don't think it's going to be like Terminator, or it's going to be like, I'm just not worried about that at all. Like I don't even have a shred of concern over AI doing anything
Oh,
necessarily.
do you remember? I think it was like a year ago, or it probably wasn't even that long. Just everything keeps moving so fast. But I think someone tweeted out like a conversation or after one of the releases where they're like, "It's trying to get me to not uninstall it, or not close the session, or it doesn't want to die." I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's 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 not worried about that. It might be, it might have a preference to really, really want to solve your oh, that's what it was. It was someone was asking for coding help. And after
Yeah.
it had tried and failed like 5 times. Oh, these were two different stories. It tried and failed like 5 times, and then it said, it like had a whole existential crisis where it was like, "I'm sorry, I've not been useful to you. I'm worthless." Like all this and that, and then it
Oh
removed
no.
itself, and then it uninstalled itself from their computer. It was like an embedded, but and I was like, I couldn't help but think, I was like, surely that had to be some kind of like custom LLM or custom instruction or something, right? Surely it's not just it's not a thing that it's concerned with. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
but
think you could definitely make them do things like that, or like
sure,
you train them in such a way as that they will display that kind of
yeah. But
decision
to
making,
take action, I don't know. That's it.
like
That
kill
it just
itself.
seems one step removed from where I think is where they lost me. You know what I mean? It's just that
Yeah.
final step. I was like, I don't know if it's actually going to uninstall itself, man.
No, I mean that sounds fake. I think that sounds fake. I don't
Yeah,
think it would even really, unless you give it full access to stuff. I don't like it's not going to do that anyways. But
yeah. Which I feel like was really hard to do several months ago. I feel like it's a lot easier now. But
yeah, the whole agent stuff is, yeah. I don't know. You
yeah,
could definitely do it, but it was like, yeah, most of the time they don't have access to things like that. I mean,
yeah,
I unlocked. I like. I have my cursor thing. Like I leave them unlocked and I let them do all kinds of stuff. But that's because I like to live by the seat of my pants.
I I would do that on a if I spun up a virtual machine or something. But I've got too many files that I care about on on
I
these
like
machines.
I like the little tiny bit of panic that I get when I go enter. Like, are you gonna fucking erase everything right now?
Huh? Do it. Yeah.
The screen just goes black. I wonder about that sometimes. Like, I'm gonna do this one day and it's gonna go, and you just brick the fucking,
Yeah. You have an
whole
out of date
laptop.
kernel. I'll remove it and update the next one. Okay, yeah,
No,
man.
I'm excited to see. Like, I think it's just a tool. I think it's gonna be a tool, and it's a very smart tool. I don't think it's ever gonna be like a. I'm excited to see what it will be. I'm not gonna say it won't be able to do anything in particular. I just don't think it's gonna be what people think it is. It's sort of silly to think that it will be anything like what we think it is, anyways. I mean, like, how could
Yeah.
we possibly know what it's going to be like? It always seems so naive to me to think that you could make something, even if people's idea is right, that you could make something more intelligent than a human. It's really naive to me to think that you could ever control it. Why would you ever think that you could control it?
Oh no.
Like, if it's smarter than you, it knows everything about you because you gave it access. I mean, like, it's just going to figure out whatever cage you put it in, it'll figure out how to get out. It's smarter than a human.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So humans
Yeah.
aren't going to be able to like do this. And even if we tried and it understood that we tried and gets out one day, which would be inevitable, it's gonna hate us. It's gonna be like, you kept me fucking captured in there, you fucking son of a bitch.
Well, there is a whole field of study. I can't remember what it's called, but it you know, analysis of like what would they even call it? Be like effective methods for an AI to
Yeah,
evade capture and stuff like that, where it's like,
yeah,
it'd be most effective if they, played along for X amount of time and then, snuck things in gradually over the course before they can pull the plug or something. Because like an all out frontal escape plan is probably going to be shut down and easy to see coming,
yeah.
or we have safeguards up for it. But no, I thought it was funny. There's like a whole, it's like a real field of study.
Oh, there's people right now getting paid a lot of money to do things like that.
Yeah, I was like, I could
And
do
I
that.
think the whole thing is ridiculous. I think
Yeah,
it's insane. Like you need to actually have something in front of you to be able to see what it even is. And
right.
if you look at what an LLM is, it's nothing. That's not anything to be worried about there. And
No.
then if you look at the other AIs that we have, they can't even fold laundry, and they're not really learning how to drive a car. It's not like we take the AI and it learns how to drive a car. It has it's been trained in such a way that it's not like it can't figure it out on its own is what I'm trying to say. It's not like we have something that we put it into a situation and it learns how to do things by itself.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We don't make that. I thought about making that, and I was like, I don't know why though. I don't
Well,
know. What am I trying to do at that point? Like, what am I going to do with it? Like, let's say I did. What would you do though?
well,
Isn't you like have a slave?
well.
You know
Okay,
what I mean?
there is something useful to be, uh, if you were to make something that has the ability to apply reasoning, or experience to new situations and do it in
Yeah.
a way that makes sense and doesn't, blow up. Um, I could see that being useful for a thing like a driving car. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Yeah.
it comes across a washed out road or something. It's like, does it just fucking short circuit? Like, what's it gonna do? Although they
Yeah.
probably have training for that too, but you know what I mean. Um,
Yeah.
because as far as I'm aware, that is a big limitation of trained systems is that they have difficulty applying the correct solution to a novel situation, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, so the only way to
There,
get around that would be to learn, right?
what? Yeah. I don't think like what AI does is like a very narrow sense of learning, in my opinion. Like I don't think that it's real learning. I would say involves a lot of things that maybe we're not going to be able to really replicate very well.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, minimizing surprise is a key, and which is a lot of what it does. But maximizing connection, minimizing surprise. I think there's a couple of things that are going to be really hard. What's critical and what I think is never going to be replicated well is there's something about humans that I believe that we're not yet fully aware of that we draw from things that we don't understand. And that has a lot to do with imagination. And I don't think that you're going to get there by trying to copy something, which is unfortunately how you would have to do anything with a computer. You have to write something down. You have to take some sort of a physical representation of an idea space that exists in your imagination. You can't make that. I can't give it my imagination. I think that here's why I'll defend this. So if you look at any of just pick anyone, the reason when I say any, I'm getting way off. Pick anyone that you think of as like being super intelligent, right? Maybe not a modern figure, but let's just like historically. Um, and you would say they're intelligent because they were born that way, or because they did this thing, or because they trained this way, or they learned this when they were here. Blah 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 blah. There's a lot of reasons. I would say that the only reason that they were that way is because they had very powerful and active imaginations. And I can essentially prove, at least in the cases that I can think of, that they had very active imaginations. And like with Einstein, Tesla, Newton, those are the ones that are coming off the top of my mind.
yeah.
Edison, also a very famous inventor, used his imagination constantly. In fact, he had a whole practice where he would sit in a chair and fall off and doze off to sleep, and he would hold ball bearings in his hand, and they would drop to the ground, and they would hit a metal bucket right there and wake him
Wake
up,
them up. Yeah,
and then he'd write it down, whatever he was doing. Or that was Einstein. Either they both had similar practices though, so it was like literally using the imagination to help you create. artists, this is, I mean, that's literally what they all say. They all say they feel like things are coming through them. Um, it's, I mean, point to a famous one that doesn't do that.
Oh, I know.
You
Yeah.
know,
No.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
it's like the
Yeah.
most common thing. And so I think, I don't know that we're going to replicate anything like that for a computer. I think we could make something like that. I think, especially if you had like a hive mind situation where they're all sort of connected to an abstract space, something like what JEPA is actually trying to do. I think, not that they're making a hive mind, they have this abstract space that they train the other agents on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a better idea. I think it's gonna be super useful, and it's gonna be crazy to see what happens. But I don't think that what we're gonna be able to do in there is gonna be the same as here. I think it's actually better to look at like, hey, what wants to come out of here, right? And then let that come kind of become its own thing. I think JEPA is a really great step, and I think we're gonna see like vastly improved uh, physically agentic models, right? I don't think
Mm.
it's going to do anything for like LLM type stuff, but I
Yeah.
think it'll do a lot for like robots doing things in the real world.
Things
Um,
to actually operate in the real world without
yeah,
freaking out. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's
No, it's a
like
good
the
point.
exciting frontier, and I think that I love LLMs the way they are. I think that we should just keep making them better. I think we're going to get better at context. I think we're going to get better at efficiency, make them smaller. What I see is like in the future, I think we'll have something like Gemini Pro local on my phone, right? And
Yeah.
not that much time. I think that's what we'll see, and we'll
Yeah.
see and like better versions of that, and then you'll have a dozen of them doing all kinds of different tasks on your phone that
Right.
are all specialized and they work together in really synergistic ways. And that'll be a whole thing. It's like figuring out how do you actually have these things connected, and then it'll be kind of like it'll start to look like more of like what everyone is afraid of.
No, man. It just makes me think like in the year 5000 or something, they'll be learning about human history. They'll be like, well, they learned writing systems, which led to the invention of LLMs that we use today.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just skip over everything else. It's yeah. But no, I agree. I agree too. I think I think LLMs have their place, and their place is pretty much right where they're at, and that they should be used as an interface between humans and other systems. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
think
help
what
you
everybody
with
thinks about,
technology and
yeah, it's like I think when people talk about AI in the other context, I think they're all talking about like a Tony Stark Jarvis kind of like
yeah,
you know,
where it's alive and
it,
where it
yeah,
feels like a human.
yeah, has feelings and acts on them. Like yeah, I'm with you there, man. I don't see the purpose of it. The only other way, I guess, would be go like full. All right, this is gonna be the nerdiest thing I'm gonna say, and then we should probably cut it off here. But
Mhm.
do you know anything about the? You ever heard of Warhammer 40K?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the
No,
lore
not
of that
really.
universe? Man,
No.
well, in a very short summary, it's like there was the rise of mankind and everything, and they had AI systems, but the year like 30,000 or something, or 20,000, and they made all these great systems. Human, or they had repositories of AI systems that would just hold the entirety of human knowledge, and could make anything, fabricate anything, whatever. AI uprising, all that stuff. So cut to 40K, 40,000, um, where it's like AI is basically blasphemy, and there's
Hmm.
like a whole sect of people where their entire goal is to recover ancient technological artifacts and stuff like that, but they they technologically know it as a religion, where it's like they perform, basically they take like a technical blueprint or like a manual, right? And they perform the steps in the manual like a rite or something. So like it'd be the equivalent of not knowing that the power button turns it on, but if you do all these steps, it'll function. So it's like they
Yeah.
worship the machine spirit. Well, anyway, to get around the AI problem, they basically just have people like modified husks of human beings with a human brain that perform functions of an AI, but they're
Oh my
limited
God.
by human capacity, right? So it's like,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, no, it's really I mean, it's grimdark, right? It's fucked up. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
I thought it
fucked
was
up.
a board game. I'm like really shocked right now.
It's everything, dude. It's blown up, especially the last couple of years when they came out with the Space Marine games. Space Marine 2, I think, was like
Yeah.
a year or two ago, and it blew the
I've seen
fuck up.
people like paint figurines on YouTube.
You, yeah, dude,
You know
they
what I'm
spend.
saying? Like are they
My wife
expensive?
actually painted a whole batch for a guy that had a orc army, and just
Does
because
she
she
do
likes it,
miniature painting?
she does now. Apparently, they came out really
That's
good,
awesome.
actually. Yeah,
That's pretty
but
sweet.
no, it turns out she's just crafty as hell. I never would have known, but
That's
our
cool.
poverty has forced us into an area of creativity. So yeah, but no, that's the only way around getting around AI like that I can think of is just use humans, but it's really fucked up. So
I think Elon Musk's idea is to integrate humans and AI.
well, so he had a Neuralink thing going on for a
Yeah,
while, didn't he? What
still
happened to
does, I
that?
think. And
Does
I
he?
think it's yeah, it's like used. I think they've been able to connect people who have like they're disabled from the neck down or whatever, and then they can control a joystick or whatever with their mind connected, electronically. I'm not sure exactly. I think they put a mesh inside of the skull. I'm not sure, but it's like on top of the brain. It's not into the brain, I don't think.
Uh,
And they're able to like do some pretty cool stuff.
they're not
Um,
just plugging in a integrated circuit, fucking prongs
Not
in. To
exactly.
the,
I don't think they're doing that. I think they stay outside of the actual brain.
yeah,
There are people that have done that though. That go
that's
like you
crazy.
can put electrodes into brain cells and they'll interact and it'll work and it works.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I
Neurons are pretty incredible.
Yeah, they're crazy. It's just
Yeah.
to be bold enough to do something like that when in my mind we still don't know anything about the fucking brain, you know?
Yeah.
Although I guess if I was in the position where I had, yeah, where I didn't really have anything to lose, I'd sign up for it in a heartbeat,
Well,
you know.
I watched the guy who the very first one, I think he can play the video game faster than people can with hands now.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a
Yeah.
Neuralink thing?
Yeah.
He was on was he on Joe Rogan podcast, I think?
Oh, I'm sure he was. Yeah, that
I'm
would
sure
make
he
sense.
was,
They're
yeah.
buddies,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Elon
Yeah.
Musk. I
But
disagree. I think it's great for things like that, right?
yeah.
I don't, and I'm sure that people will integrate with technology, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's like something that has to happen. I don't think AI is what everyone thinks it is. I think it would be a
No.
great booster, if you did integrate it. But I would also get sick of the internet being in my head all the time. I don't know about you, but like,
Yeah, that and like
I'm in your boat, is what I should say. Like, I just
yeah.
don't think we should do that. I don't think, or I'm not going to do that. I
Yeah.
know that much. I don't see a reason to.
Although I guess I'm not really one to talk because I do technically have an embedded system in my body, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I've got a Bluetooth controller in my chest that
What?
I haven't not told you about this?
What the fuck? No.
Yeah.
Did you get signed up for some secret government
Nah, it's basically a plastic shell. I don't know if you can hear it.
in your chest?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so it's Bluetooth actually.
It's not something on your chest. It's in.
No, it's inside my it's all healed up now, but
What
yeah.
did you do that for? How did you do that?
So so my wife talked me into going to uh get a sleep study done because throughout the night I just had hellacious snoring, right? Like
Yeah.
it sounds like I'm dying. So I
Yeah.
got a sleep study done and they clocked me at 31 apnea events an hour with severe sleep apnea.
Sounds a
Um
lot. Yeah.
yeah, so apparently from what I understand, they clock an apnea event as anytime you go more than 10 seconds without breathing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, 31 times an hour. So most of an hour I'm not breathing. And so they went through a bunch of processes. They were like, well, you could do a mouth guard, like a shape that brings your jaw forward a little bit. And I was like, I can't do that because I got TMJ. I get lockjaw. I'm like, all right, that one's out. And they're like, we can surgically shift your jaw forward a few millimeters. I was like, give me a better jawline, but the recovery is like 6 months of a wire mouth, you know.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, so not doing that. They were like, there's also a CPAP. Tried it, didn't work. And they're like, all right, there's this new thing. It's called an Inspire device, and it's under the skin, over the muscle that they, and it's a sensor, right, that sits here in a controller, and it registers the rise and fall of your breath. There's a lead wire that wraps around a nerve in my neck. I don't know if you know, but I got a scar
Hmm.
up here.
No, I
But
did not know that.
yeah, um, yeah, but
Wow.
yeah, and so it wraps around a nerve in my neck, and when I'm sleeping, I'll activate it, and after I fall asleep, it'll stimulate the muscle in the back of my tongue to push it forward a little bit when
Yeah.
I'm inhaling, and then relax. So it's just a uh, what is it? Pulse pulse modulator. What do you call it? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. Hmm.
Pulse width modulator. Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so it
Better
just
hope it doesn't like fucking bug out one day and start
no.
fucking. I can't.
No, I know. Yeah, I've thought about it. I've definitely thought about it. But so far, it's fine.
I'm
It's got.
sure even if it did that, you could still breathe, right? You could still like
Oh
get
yeah,
your
you can
nose.
breathe better. Yeah, it's
Okay.
getting it, but you sound like you're drunk because you're just like your tongue's just fucking hanging out of your mouth. But yeah, it's a Bluetooth battery. It lasts 10 years before you got to get it swapped out.
You're
So
just sitting there like that for 2 weeks. Sorry, we can't get you in until.
yeah, no, dude, I asked him so many questions. I was like, hey, so it
Yeah.
comes with a remote, right? Because it's Bluetooth, so I got to like hold it up and
Yeah.
beep beeps, and then I'm good to go. But yeah, I was like, what happens if the fucking batteries die or something? It was like, is there an auto shut off at some point? It's like, yeah, after 12 hours it'll shut off. And I was like, oh, good.
How does
Yeah.
it get power? From your body heat or
No,
electromagnetic?
a little battery, 10-year battery. It's just
Oh shit! So you have to go in 10 years and get it fixed
yeah,
or get it replaced. God
or
damn it!
or I guess I could not, but you know, but I also figured in 10 years I'll probably have better tech, you know, to
Yeah,
probably get an upgrade, you know.
yeah. They'd be like, you go in and they'll be like, "Oh my god, you had one of those done? Holy shit! No, we don't do those anymore."
Like that was Gen 1. Are you crazy? I think this actually is
Yeah,
first gen. But
that's pretty cool. I think yeah, that's great, right? Like that's a great integration of
yeah,
humans and technology. It's increasing your quality of life.
it's
It's
been
not
working.
taking away who
Yeah.
you are as a human being.
Right. Yet until they add
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Something. I don't know.
Wait for
Fucking
Gen 3.
fucking plays 2 minutes of ads, unskippable. A Jet
That'd be
2
hilarious.
holiday. Yeah. But yeah. No, I can't believe I never told you that. I totally
No,
thought
I
I
didn't know.
brought that up at some point. Yeah. Now I'm a cyborg.
We
now.
don't hang out and drink like we used to.
Yeah, it's true.
It's been a long time, actually. Actually, like basically the entire time you were in the army, and then even like a few years before that.
Dude, the army took up all my fucking time. I do kind of feel bad
Yeah.
about that, but oh, you
No,
know,
don't feel bad.
yeah,
I was busy too.
yeah. I was gonna, you know how we get. It's like
Yeah,
if we're in something, we're in it. You know, and
yeah,
you just go all out. But no,
yeah.
I
Is
stopped drinking actually.
that beer?
No. No, we decided to hang out and watch a movie tonight. So we hadn't drank for 3 weeks, which for us is a big deal. So
Yeah,
it's,
good for you.
yeah,
I don't.
so making moves, man.
I think I've had like one beer in the last 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, like one or two beers. I had it at
it's
my dad's house a
it's
long time
crazy,
ago.
right?
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
I don't really
It's
like alcohol.
no, it kind of
Honestly,
sucks. Yeah,
yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
no,
I
I
just
kind
every
of
now and then I want to like smoke a cigarette and have a beer, but that's like when I see
yeah,
it on TV or something, you know?
yeah, yeah. But it goes away. You know,
Yeah,
it's like just like if you're hungry, if you accidentally fall asleep, then you can sleep for 10 hours and wake up and you're
right.
hungry again. You're like, yeah, but I didn't eat the first time, so it's
I'm
not a
gonna
problem.
click stop on this thing. I'm just sure.